Hi, welcome to another edition of Life is Good. I'm Cordelia Obey. I'm a guide on the show and I welcome you. We'll be bringing you Dr. Wilson Orhiunu. You know, he was the one who met a Keke woman, helped her raise funds, paid off her debts when it came to owning the Keke, and a lot more. You get to hear more of what he has to say to us. And guess what? He is a medical practitioner based in the UK. Stay with me as we move on straight. All right, Dr. Wilson Orhiunu, welcome to Life is Good.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, let's get to know you and meet you a little bit. I see you're very athletic, you like the marathons, you like mountaineering, and so on. And you do all this to raise funds and awareness. I keep wondering, how does it work? How do you raise money doing this? And why do you do it?
Well, running, I do for pleasure, to keep fit, bit of vanity training. I don't do overweight. So I exercise every day. And the charity side, usually when you do marathons, you tend to raise money for charity. I mean, that's the culture in the UK. So I did my first marathon in, I think, 2004. I raised money for charity and it's just continued ever since. So it's a good discipline, keeps me out of trouble. So, and, also I like a bit of adventure. So that's why I decided to go to Kilimanjaro just to see what it looks like. So that was good.
Well, I know Mount Kilimanjaro has the highest peak here. How hard was that?
It was extremely difficult. Only about 15% make it to the summit. I mean, I didn't quite get to the summit because you know how they say the higher you go, the cooler it becomes, but the oxygen available is less. So you tend to get breathless easily. So I just got tired. I couldn't, I had to come back down. But it was beautiful.
Well, I used to think a lot that it was a white man thing. These adventures, we do it too.
Well, you know how it is. People's perception differs, you see. Number one, Kilimanjaro is in Africa, so it is a black, it's a black man, who owns it. Now we get them, but the thing is the sort of psychological ownership of all these landmarks belongs to England. So Lake Victoria, the biggest waterfall, is named after Queen Victoria. Kilimanjaro was, discovered in quotes by a white man, even though the blacks were climbing it up and down all along. The same way Mungo Park discovered River Niger.
River Niger that passes our backyard.
People have been fishing in it for years.
Imagine.
But really, it was discovered by Mungo Park. So it's that thing. People think, oh, now Igbo gets mountain, now Igbo they go mountain, but the tallest mountains in the world are not even in Europe, It's Himalayas and Kilimanjaro, Atlas Mountains. So we own all this thing, so we should be climbing it.
Yeah. Well, if you're wondering, he's not an athlete. He is a medical practitioner, general medical practitioner in Birmingham, UK. He combines working in urgent care centers with also caring for asylum seekers in the clinic. Now, Dr. Orhiunu, you're more than a doctor. You are deep in authoring of books. And let's talk a bit about Baba Willy's dictionary, Pidgin English Dictionary. That will be the first Pidgin English dictionary online. Tell us a bit about this your journey writing a Pidgin English dictionary.
Yeah, that was a bit fortuitous. I was writing a novel at the time and using a lot of Pidgin, so I thought I'll do a glossary of words for the dictionary and became distracted and spent all my time on the glossary, and it became the dictionary, and I left the novel. So that was how the dictionary came about in 2000. And it was widely used, but our people, we have a problem with plagiarism and ownership, intellectual property. I don't know why it's a problem with us, but people don't like giving credit to works, So, but I wrote a dictionary, then I wrote a poem, Psalm 23, the Pidgin English version of Psalm 23, which is quite well known. The Lord is my shepherd, I dey carry. And it's in my book. And many people use it and they never put my name under. They just post it.
Okay, let's come back now to the most recent thing that got you some big attention online. You were recently in Nigeria and you shared how you had an encounter with a woman who drives a Keke.
Yeah.
And what that led to. Those of you who do not know the story is out there online. Look for it and you get to understand better, or you can just catch up here. Now, doctor, another thing is you had traveled. For somebody where you come from abroad, you came back, took a bus, and you were in a Keke. I wonder how that went. So, tell me a bit about this, in quote, adventure.
Well, number one, Keke is a mode of transportation. So, we have all this pseudo snobbery. Our people will go to Venice and enter canoe and say they've been on gondola, take selfie. But
they give them name, abroad
but
name.
they're not going to enter canoe for Lagos, So, it's all packaged in canoe like canoe. So, I traveled from Warri to Lagos on a bus. And we got to the park. I came down and met her. This was on Monday, the 6th of November. I was actually in Nigeria for a funeral. So after the funeral, we came back down to Lagos. And she came and said, do you want a Keke? So I followed her, expecting that it was a man at the end of it. And it turned out that she was the actual driver. So I was a bit interested. So I said, okay, before you move, let me interview you for my Facebook. So I interviewed her. Now, there's two videos. If you watch the video, she made it quite clear that I wasn't particularly polite or friendly initially. So I was not in the mood to be raising funds or anything. I've just come back from funeral. I wanted to just go home and relax. So it was when she agreed to do the interview, I became interested. She took me home and I didn't take her number. That was the end of it. So I put it on Facebook and sort of forgot about it. But someone asked if I could tell her how much was left on her purchase, which I didn't know. So I sent a message on Facebook. She replied. She told me it was 700,000. I told my friend. She gave me 100,000 the next day on my way to the airport. I was leaving Nigeria on the 7th of November, Tuesday. And when she sent the 100,000, I thought, appeal does start, So I put it on Facebook that I'm doing an appeal for this lady. I put her video up yesterday. Donor 100,000. Then I waited for people. And then people started donating. And that was the simple story.
Yeah, and you raised even more than what was needed.
Yeah. On Saturday, 11th of November, I paid 700,000 to the Keke man and 230 to Amaka. And then since then, people have donated, and about 202,000 were given to her, and someone gave $100. So I've passed all the money. In fact, I'm Amaka's secretary now. I just write down the money, send it to her. I work for her now. Yeah.
Now, one of the things you were really talking about in the clip I watched, Doc, is dignity in labor. And the fact that you like it to be something we all, really embrace, all these urgent 2K kind of things. When some girls they do, you all don't want to hear that, and so on. And you're trying to make it a part of our lives again. Tell me about that.
You could say I'm passionate, or you could say they pain me, and they pay my guys. The thing is, labor is basically work. You work, especially physical work is labor, and it is hard. That's why it's called labor. But dignity is a kind of respect that is accorded to anybody for what they do, and I believe there's dignity and respect for anyone who takes his hands to do any job legally, to put body and soul together. And I don't believe in any job being superior to any other job, because all jobs come together to hold society together. So as a woman who is supporting her family and not succumbing to urgent 2K phenomenon or syndrome, one guy told me he caught his wife online soliciting people for money with all kind of nonsense stories.
Yeah, well,
married woman though.
Can you imagine that?
I was shocked. Many people do it. Some people call it executive begging. But the thing is, the people who walk should be respected, and I respect them. There is no shame. If you walk, you should be given the respect and the dignity that it should come automatically, irrespective of the walk. I mean, as a doctor, I'm used to being respected for my profession, because in many countries, when you survey people to find out what professions they hold high in esteem, it's always doctors, priests, pastors. The politicians will be last, sportsmen will be in the middle, teachers will be quite high up. But people always put doctors first. So I'm used to being respected. But that doesn't mean I don't know what's going on. Even in a hospital, if your cleaners are no good, you're finished. If your taps are not flowing, your toilets are not flushing, and you don't have sanitation, no matter how good you are as a doctor, you can't do anything. So it's a teamwork. Life is a teamwork, and that's what I believe. So I don't look down on anybody's job.
You work in a clinic where you care for asylum seekers. I want to look at that vis-a-vis the Jackpot syndrome that is on now. What do you think about the Nigerians who are doing it, selling everything to travel? Based on the experiences you've had yourself, how would you weigh that? What would you say about it?
Now, I think you've mentioned two things. An asylum seeker is one who is fleeing his home country because he has a threat to life.
Yeah.
Maybe war or persecution.
True that.
So they travel to another country to seek asylum, refuge. Now, an immigrant is a bit different. An immigrant could be economic, seeking better pastures, or could be going for training. So I work with asylum seekers, people fleeing areas of conflict. So Syria, Afghanistan, I think at one time Somalia. You get people whose countries are on fire and they just run out. But with Nigerians, it's basically immigration.
True.
And most of them are legal. They come for work, and they are within their rights to travel. So it's up to them. It's an individual choice, the way I look at it. So if somebody feels he will get better opportunities in life, better opportunities with training by traveling abroad, then there's no problem there, because traditionally most of our medical lecturers did their postgraduates in England, actually. So it's a bit of a cultural thing. Most people will do postgraduate and go back. But in this day and time, people are not going back, and it is their choice,
True.
what they do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite aware of the difference. But I'm thinking now, somebody who's listening to us, who's considering taking either of the routes to leave Nigeria, is that something they should know? Because we've seen people selling everything, going through the desert, doing this and doing that. Are there things, the realities that they should know? Are there some things they should make sure they do not do?
Well, life is a risk, so people will take their chances. But the thing to do is, number one, you must be legal. You must do everything by the book. So you get agents who will tell you to pay up an amount of money, and they'll paint a very rosy picture. You might get here and find something different. So be careful about paying agents. People who plan to take the scenic route through the Sahara, they should just forget that thing. They should forget it straight away.
That route is horrible, though.
They should forget it, because basically what you're going to do is to go to Kano and take a 6-hour drive to Agadir, somewhere in the edges of Niger, and then from there face the Sahara, hoping to make southern Libya. The thing is, all those highest Toyota overloaded pickups, they go through the Sahara. If you fall off, they don't stop to pick you. You may get raided by bandits. You could die. I mean, people die crossing the Sahara. But if you make it to the edge of the Mediterranean Sea, you pay for a boat to take you across to Italy. The traffickers tell you it's a 2-hour boat ride. The thing takes 8 hours. Most of the time, they either sink or get lost. They get rescued by ships. The videos are on YouTube. The thing is that the chances of making it to Europe is quite slim.
Yeah.
And then when those who get to France will now make another trip, a shorter trip across the English Channel, about 2 hours. They set off about 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the dark. These are not trained sailors. They get lost. The boat could sink. So all those people who think they'll jackpot through the desert and Mediterranean, and they should just forget that. The chances of success is quite close to zero. And but those who can legally come, then fine. People who sell all their property and come, thinking they'll adjust. They might adjust, but when you get here, the rules change. So if you're a big man in Lagos, you sell your stuff and come, you have to relinquish that big manity and start, doing the washing plates and cleaning the house and taking children to school. There's no driver. The rules will change, so you need to be flexible.
Do the sensible thing,
Yeah.
do the right thing. Well, you've heard, Doctor, don't consider that desert route at all. And I think one of these days I'm going to bring a friend of mine to come tell us his own experience going through the desert. It wasn't good at all. So you've heard Doctor also saying that. Don't even think of doing that, and make sure everything you're doing is legal. Do everything legally. Okay, Doctor, you write a lot. We've seen that in the course of this program. And you have a book you wrote some time back on Nigerian foods. Tell us a bit about the book.
Now, the Nigerian Food Philosopher is a book I wrote, celebrates Nigerian food. So it's not a recipe book, and it's not a diet book. It actually just talks about the various kinds of things that go around food. So there is something called Okodo Tonight. There is fictional indie boat choppings, all to do with how we eat, how we keep food in the fridge, the different foods we eat. It's just a celebration, so it needs to be read, really, because I'm a kind of person. When I go to parties, I look at everybody's plate. Everybody's plate. When we're on the buffet in a queue, I watch everybody. If your belly big and your plate, you mount them. I go, So I just study everybody, see how the slim people eat, see how the big people eat, see who goes for second round, third round, fourth round, take away. So I watch all that behavior around food, and then the same person would say, "Oh, I don't eat anything. I'm not losing weight." So those are the things I enjoy, looking at, and the music that gets to do with food, like Jungkook, the glutton's behavior when he visits and eats up all your house, Jollof on the Jets, DJ Copy. Anything to do with food is in the book, So our food is very good, actually.
Starch and banga, for instance.
Yeah.
Tough. Thank you so much, Doc. Now the final note. To anybody who is listening right now to Life is Good, what would be that word, that thing you'd like them to hold on to, even as they may be experiencing some rather trying times?
Yeah, I mean, it's... as they say, wahala not a finish. There are things that could get you down, and there's also inspirational stories out there to lift you up. Now, when I came from the funeral, I was a bit tired, and like Stephanie said, I wasn't too friendly. But when she started speaking, then it lifted me up. So there are people out there who can lift you up, but you need to communicate with them. And you need to be kind, you need to be open and be positive. And also, you must run away from the negative people. You must run. And if you're married to them, then just, you can't run there, but...
Try your best.
You let it go in 1 year, and leave the next year. Because, there is problems, the Naira is weak, the roads are tough to drive on, and the salaries are not going up. So... You have to be resourceful and think outside the box. But if you're depressed and complaining, your brain will work. So one has to stay positive. If you're spiritual, stay close to God, pray, and give. Even if you don't have money, give of your time to people less privileged at all times. Always be giving out, and it will find its way of coming back to you. That's what I'll say. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wilson Orhiunu, for being with us on Life is Good today and for being kind. We'll be speaking with Stephanie through Doctors Connect, and you get to hear
Yeah.
how the full story has played out. Thank you, Doc.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
We've been speaking with Dr. Wilson Orhiunu. You heard the advice. I pray we'll stick to them. I'm Cordelia Obey. Thank you so much for being a part of Life is Good.